Good day students and welcome to this auditing lesson. Today we will be focusing on tests of controls. What is a test of control? A test of control is an audit procedure to test the effectiveness of a control that's implemented by management to prevent or detect material misstatements. Tests of controls are performed when the auditor intends to rely on the operating effectiveness of internal controls, or when substantive procedures alone do not provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence. These are some of the common mistakes made by students when answering test of control questions. Students sometimes formulate generic test of controls without making it applicable to the scenario. We've also identified that the knowledge of the cycles are insufficient. We can ask you to formulate test of controls that you will perform to test the manual and or the automated internal controls. When we ask you automated internal controls, we may ask that you limit your answer to invalid test data. But what is meant by invalid test data? It means that, for example, when you enter your username and password that do not meet the IT requirements, the system should give you an error message. This is invalid test data. How do you approach a test of control question? The first step will be to identify the internal controls given in the scenario. Your second step will be to describe the test of controls to test the internal controls that you have identified. You will describe your test of controls in terms of how, what, and why. When we look at your manual test of controls, the how will refer to the adverb, for example, inspection, reperformance, observation, or inquiry. What will refer to the source document or the action that will be performed. Why will be the reason or the objective for the test of control. When we look at automated test of controls, the how will refer to the reperformance by using your computer. For example, attempt to. What will refer to the action being performed, and why the reason. So let's look at an example. In this specific scenario, we requested the students to formulate the test of controls that you will perform to test the manual and automated internal controls relating to the payments to suppliers, and limit the answers to invalid test data. So where do we start? As mentioned, let's start by identifying the controls as provided in the scenario. So the first identified control is: two senior accountants are responsible for approving EFTs electronically by using their unique usernames and passwords. So that is the control that management has implemented. How will we go and test whether the control is effective and efficient? Since this is an automated control, we will test by reperformance on the computer. So how will we do it? We will attempt to, what will we do? Approve an EFT by entering a fictitious username and password. Why? To confirm that the system rejects. The second control, processing of EFTs is limited to terminals of the accountants in the accounting department. Again, this is an automated control. How will we test this control? Attempt to process an EFT from an unauthorized terminal. Why? To confirm that the system rejects. The third control is, in order to control access when processing and approving EFTs, the accountant's terminal switches off after 3 unsuccessful log-on attempts. Again, this is an automated control. So we will attempt to gain access to the accountant's terminal by entering an incorrect password 3 times and confirm that the terminal switches off. You will see that we have addressed the how, the what, and the why. Let's look at the next internal control. An activity report of unsuccessful access attempts is printed, reviewed, and signed once a week by the CFO to confirm that no unauthorized access was gained to the system. Now this is a manual control. How will we test this control? We will inspect. The what will refer to the source document that we will inspect. So we will inspect a sample of activity reports of unsuccessful access attempts for the signature of the CFO. Why? To confirm that the CFO has reviewed the reports. You cannot observe a signature. You will not get your marks if you say observe a sample of activity reports for the signature of the financial manager. So this comes to the end of our first lesson. Good luck with the preparations.